Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a literal game changer from way back in 1992. It's a concept that absolutely revolutionized how we think about money and work, and we're going to see how modern strategies have made it more accessible today than it's ever been. Okay, let's jump right in. I want to kick things off with a little gut check, using a few direct questions straight from the Financial Integrity Program. First up, do you actually come home from your job feeling, fulfilled? Take a second and honestly answer that for yourself. Next, are all the different pieces of your life truly integrated? Like, do your job, the things you own, your relationships, and your deepest values all fit together seamlessly like a giant puzzle? Or do they constantly feel like they're just at odds with each other? And the big one, when you sit down and think about your finances, do you actually feel peaceful and at ease? Because look, if you're shaking your head no right now, you are absolutely in the right place. This explainer is built to help fix that exact disconnect. Okay, to figure this out, we kind of have to turn back the clock. We're going back to 1992, way before internet buzzwords like FIRE, financial independence, retire early, were everywhere. This whole conversation really kicked into high gear with a trailblazing book by Vicki and Joe Dominguez called Your Money or Your Life. It was completely designed to transform your relationship with money. Section 1. The Crossover Point, the original holy grail of finance. In their book, they introduced a concept that became the ultimate benchmark for financial independence. The crossover point is the exact moment your monthly investment income finally crosses above your living expenses. The absolute beauty of this is that once you cross that line, you have a safe, steady income for life. You never draw down your principal, you're just living off the perpetual income your assets spit out. Basically, you're officially off the hook for needing a traditional paycheck. To get to this magic threshold, the original strategy is a two-pronged attack. Step 1, relentlessly slash your expenses as low as humanly possible. And step 2, simultaneously build up income-generating assets to cover those newly reduced costs. And the math behind tracking your progress, it's brilliantly simple. You take your total accumulated capital, multiply it by the current long-term interest rate, and divide that by 12 months. Bam! That is your monthly passive investment income. Once that number outpaces what it costs you to live, you've hit the crossover point. It's the financial dream, right? Section 2, the reality check. Why the 1992 dream is difficult today. All right, here's the catch. And it's a massive one. Hitting this purely safe crossover point today where you never touch your principal is incredibly tough in a low-interest environment. Let's say you want a retirement income of $50,000 a year, using a completely safe 3% interest rate. You would need a staggering $1.7 million in strictly investable assets to pull that off. To put that into perspective, that requirement means your total net worth, when you factor in non-cash items like the equity locked up in your house, would likely need to sit well over $2 million. Having $1.7 million purely in liquid investments is a giant hurdle. Based on the data, a net worth that high is only reached by about 6% of Americans right now. Okay, but what if you're ultra frugal? Say you successfully slash your living expenses down to just $30 grand a year. Well, you still need a cool $1 million sitting completely outside of your locked traditional retirement accounts just to generate that safe 3% cash flow. That is still more than the net worth of 88% of the population. It's a really steep hill to climb. Section 3. The Financial Independence Cavalry. Modern upgrades to the crossover point. Because that pure mathematical hurdle was just way too high for average folks, the financial community basically brought in the cavalry. They developed some incredibly powerful, modern workarounds to make this 1992 concept actually attainable today. We're talking about utilizing the 4% withdrawal rule, where you safely draw down a tiny bit of your assets, along with higher yield real estate investing, and generating hybrid income from side hustles. Think about the mathematical contrast here. While a safe 3% yield demands that $1.7 million in capital for a $50K income, finding an 8 to 10% return in real estate, that slashes the capital you need down to just $500,000. It completely changes the game and makes generating your annual income drastically more realistic. Or think about the side hustle upgrade. If you need 30 grand a year to live, you could generate half of that, $15,000, from a fun, totally manageable side gig. That means you only need $500,000 in your savings portfolio to confidently cover the rest and officially cross the point. Section 4. Redefining financial integrity. Shifting from retire early to true independence. Armed with these modern upgrades, the whole conversation shifts away from just raw math. There is this fascinating debate right now, splitting the FI, financial independence, from the RE, retire early. The truth is, people who are motivated and productive enough to reach the crossover point are usually way too restless to just sit back, earn zero active income, and do nothing. The goal isn't necessarily stopping work forever, it's just about having the absolute option to quit. One commenter in our source material totally nailed this. They pointed out that simply knowing you have a choice flips the script. When you aren't literally chained to a desk for your basic survival, all that toxic, terrifying workplace stress just evaporates. It gets replaced by a healthy, competitive stress, which honestly makes the career you already have a million times more enjoyable. Another reader had a similar aha moment. Having this kind of financial safety net just lets you breathe. You can potentially welcome a little lifestyle inflation and actually focus on living your best life right now, instead of constantly depriving yourself and optimizing for some perfectly frugal future. As they put it, knowing you could retire early, that is the real superpower. Which brings us full circle, right back to 1992 and Vicki Robbins' core philosophy, financial integrity. The foundation of this whole idea was never just about spreadsheets. It's about seeing money for what it really is, something we trade our deeply limited, precious life energy to acquire. So I want to wrap up this explainer today by leaving you with one incredibly provocative question. What is your life energy actually worth? Now that you understand the math behind the crossover point and how to build your own freedom, you really have to ask yourself, are you trading your precious life energy for something that truly matters to you? Take that thought with you and start building your independence today.